Sattler Files.
You're with the Sattler Files. My name is Murray Korff, and I'm talking with John W. Ryan. Welcome, John.
That was very formal.
It was indeed. But John, for those that may not know, is an expert in security assessments and terrorism and corruption and all sorts of fascinating things that sometimes fascinate and sometimes alarm. So welcome along, John. What are you going to?
It's good to be here.
What are you going to scare me with today?
Well, I sent some stuff to Howard today.
Yeah.
They were blanked out.
Yes, they were.
And I just ISIL, I hate using that name, but Daesh, have now come up with a new way to slaughter people. So they filmed it and photographed it as they killed some Syrian soldiers.
Just macabre, isn't it? It really is.
Well, so now what they do, they've gone progressively all the way through every type of torture and killing to try and frighten people and take photos of it themselves. And I remember the original, one of the original films one of my colleagues sent me was when they actually, the first decapitation they did on the side of the road, and they actually saw the throat, let the guy drown in his blood, and then took the head off. Put it in the middle of his body and photographed it. I still have that on my computer.
Goodness.
Anyhow, well, now they're progressing, and the last time I spoke to you about terrorism, ISIL were actually beheading people by putting cordex around their neck and blowing their heads off. So now the new one is they actually stab them in the heart. Now, being stabbed in the heart doesn't mean instant death, but if you're stabbed in the heart and then they make you kneel, stab you in the heart, and stand over you, put a bullet in your head, but they're not happy with that, they then crucify the body in public.
Really?
Yeah, that's the 3 stages. And they actually photographed all that. And I just get flabbergasted that not one Australian media talk about it, show it, or even refer to it.
Is it because, do you think, that the newspapers believe that their audience is too squeamish to be able to digest that?
I think that the coming elections, state and federal, are good diversions from the real truth of what's happening around the place. And the one thing that really amazed me, the Parramatta shooter, his sister is a top ISIL recruiter, and she's just been killed.
Has she really?
Yeah, she's been dead for 48 hours now, but still nothing, I've seen nothing in the media here, especially Western Australia. We seem to be like a mushroom here, kept in the dark and fed. But, and I'm just absolutely don't get it. I mean, I know that's what I do. I travel around and training teams and everything, and I'm leaving again soon. I'm going to Europe. I don't know why. Matter of fact, I've just got a travel warning about Portugal while I'm there.
Really?
Yeah. So there's something going on, and I've now had 2 warnings from colleagues about Spain. So, but I did speak about that before. We expected that.
Yes.
So, I'm with the police in Rome, so I'm hoping, and I can't take any weapons with me, so I won't bother seeing Mr. Pell. Oh dear. Now, here's an interesting thing as well. As you know, I go to Malaysia quite often. I train the government agents up there. And tying in with, because terrorism and pedophilia is very similar. And I know my link to that is that
equally repulsive.
It's equally repulsive, exactly. That's the perfect terminology. And I just have a thing about them. And it really amazes me that over in Victoria now, since this debacle with Pell and everything, that now the Archbishop is all going to keep an eye on all these priests and know where they are and what they're doing. These are the paedophiles, right? So I believe in February, one of them, ignoring the Archbishop, has just moved to Malaysia. And he's just been convicted of pedophile actions with a 10-year-old boy. And Peter, well, I just happen to know the employees of the Archbishop of Malaysia. So I sent them the photo and they were quite aware. But nothing's, I don't get it. Sorry.
Good God.
Nothing.
John, just getting back to why our media doesn't cover those issues that you just brought up, do you think it's because political correctness has an influence in there and they don't want to raise issues of Islam and that sort of thing?
There's no doubt in my mind. It's
is that
totally
right?
Yeah. That's why I put up a post once about political correctness is just absolutely stupid, and it's rife here. Now, it was rife in Germany and UK 20 years ago. Well, hello. Wake up.
look what has happened in Germany. I mean, that's just an outrageous result there.
Well, it's even worse than what's being reported from what I hear from some acquaintances of mine now, that civilians in certain villages that are like 5th and 10th and 20th generations are actually moving out like they did in Brussels because it's just getting so intense. They have a thing called Taharrush, and that was demonstrated in Cologne very dramatically when several hundred guys were running around and digitally penetrating women in the street.
So what does that term mean? Do you know?
I'm trying to remember.
It's all right. Sorry, I didn't want to put you on the spot there.
No, Taharrush means it's a group action.
Okay.
And that's basically what those guys did in Melbourne, remember? And but then I get these photos sent to me and some details about the new methods of execution and all that, and I think, well, how politically correct can we get? We don't recognize it. And I notice we still keep referring to Daesh as ISIS and ISIL, which is giving them some sort of state benefit.
And it's giving them some sort of legitimacy, really, isn't it?
Now, there's a big announcement is about to happen, and it should happen in Australia too, is that I can tell you now they just killed one of the leaders there.
Yep.
And 2 of his cohorts.
Right.
Okay, of Daesh. And they're making a big deal about it. And it was done up near Ruba, and they killed Abu Wahib. Now, he's been on the top 5 list for quite a long time.
Yeah.
And they're celebrating they got him and 2 of his offsiders. Now, these are leaders, and they're saying that will degrade the leadership. Well, hold on. That's what you said about the Minister for War, and then we killed the top Australian, and now we have a second Aussie taken over, who's actually a Hindu from India, Jihad John.
Yeah.
So I'm going, I mean, I wasn't alive then. I was born just after, I guess, but I just keep remembering Nagasaki and Hiroshima. Did that stop the war?
Yeah, well, it did something, didn't it?
It sure did. So why are we celebrating, and the Americans and the Australians and the UK troops have a big celebration? Oh, we got 3 of them. 27 civilians were killed, but we got 3 of the leaders. Yahoo!
Yes.
And now I saw the Australian media did make a big deal, and so did our Prime Minister and everything, about the Aussie troops training the Iraqi troops and everything. And I thought we did that for 10 years anyway, before that.
That was my impression, yeah.
Well, we did.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my instructor cohorts from America sent me a film that they took, and they'd been training these organizations up in Afghanistan. And one of the guys gets up with an RPG, a rocket-propelled grenade, anti-terrorist member of the troop, and he'd been training for 27 weeks, okay, and still knocked himself flat on his backside when he pulled the trigger. And I'm going,
that's me.
How is that possible when the rocket blast is behind you? But
yeah, anyway.
And the amount of guys behind artillery pieces with the shell coming back and hitting them in the stomach and knocking them back after several months of training, and I'm going. And then I remember when they invaded Mosul, we had 10,000 Iraqi troops who'd been trained by the Coalition of the Willing for 10 years, left all their equipment behind and ran away.
That's right. I was actually going to ask you about that, because did they teach them how to run?
Yes, I'm just wondering,
But, it really is...
a black flag and Allah Akbar, and we're gone.
Yeah, that's right. Well, that's right. And the other thing that's going on in Australia at the moment is, of course, this big inquiry into the Lindt Cafe siege.
I get irritated when I look at that. I'm sorry.
Look,
I stopped watching it because
Did you?
I stopped watching because I was listening to what people were saying, and then I listened, and then I watched, and actually my son pointed it out because he trained with the SWAT team in the US as well. And he pointed out immediately, and remember, he doesn't do that sort of field stuff anymore. He's just a cash and transit guy.
Yeah.
But he looked straight at me and he said, why are they throwing flashbangs as they're entering? Someone's going to get killed. And they did.
Yeah.
It was there's no such thing as friendly fire.
No.
And then and why is this guy walking around anyway?
Yeah, exactly.
Wasn't it rape and assisting in a killing?
Yes.
And I don't get that. I don't get that. We're politically correct because he was a Muslim.
It seems to be.
No,
that's
it. That is it. There's just no other way for it. I want to ask you this in your own mind. If you got a new girlfriend and you helped her kill your wife, do you think they'd give you bail here in Western Australia? Do you know of anywhere where did you get bail? Well, no. I do. New South Wales.
Yeah, well, certainly that's the place to commit a crime then, obviously.
Well, it certainly is because I'm just amazed. Do you know they just did a raid on some guys in Queensland, the feds and everything, and they actually towed a tinny from Melbourne to Queensland.
Is that right?
And they're going to go to Indonesia and join ISIL.
Good God.
Sell the tinny to the people smugglers to finance their trip to Syria. And I'm going, no, well, that's good on reflection on our abilities to keep an eye on people. They're already, I gather they were red flagged anyway. But it seems to me a bit ridiculous to let them go to the point where they actually towed a tinny from Melbourne to the north. I mean, wouldn't you have gone in before then to me?
You would have thought so.
But getting back to the Lindt Cafe, that should never have happened.
No.
That is just an affront to me.
A bit like the child snatching in Beirut, same sort of thing. It was just an amateur hour, wasn't it?
That was total crap, you know. But
they're coming up with all sorts of excuses about the Lindt thing.
But no reasons.
No reasons at all. And it's all excuses, isn't it?
Yes.
They're like, we didn't have vision.
Give me a break. Then how come the TV cameras can show the people holding the flag up? I mean, he was standing there by himself at one stage. And I know I trained as a sniper and a law enforcement sniper, not a military sniper. Those guys shoot incredible distances. But I don't know why they didn't give a green flag and take him. Yeah. I'd never understand that. And don't tell me about glass because we're trained on that. And a 308 bowtail will
penetrate.
Oh, yeah.
No problem?
No, not with a window like that. The reason they developed that was because of a standoff inside a radio studio once in America. And they were using 223s and 243s, and it couldn't penetrate the soundproof studio glass.
Thick glass, yeah.
So they started developing the 308, then the 308 bowtail.
What you're saying is they could easily have done that with the correct weaponry. They could have.
I'm sure they've got it. They must have. It just doesn't make sense to me.
No.
But anyway, so the whole thing is that's not incompetence. And they're not trained. The flashbangs we use, which a lot of people call concussion grenades, they're not. They're actually a distraction device, and they go off at about 175 candela light and quite a loud bang. And the idea is it distracts you for several seconds, and then the team enter. But if you re-watch it, and I've watched it over and over again, and I'm not being a Monday morning coach here, but as the team enter, they actually got flashbangs going off.
That's right. Yeah.
If you got that going off, you're going to, number one, if your finger goes onto the trigger and you see movement, which is what your training is, you're going to shoot somebody. And they did.
Just the wrong person.
They just shot the wrong person. And I don't see, and you're right, they're giving an excuse. There's no reason.
No.
The reason was they didn't comply with their own training. And I'm a trainer and I'm a SWAT manager. And I'm still current with all my certification and I still teach. And I can tell you now that if that was a team I trained, I'd be hiding my head in shame.
Is that
and
right?
Then there's vicarious liability things, which wouldn't happen in Australia because it wouldn't be politically correct.
No.
But vicarious liability in other countries, you could be sued as the trainer because they say, oh, well, that's the way we were trained.
unbelievable. John, when in a situation like that where you've got a number of hostages, should you be trying to take this guy alive? I mean, isn't the safety of the other people around them paramount if this person is holding them up?
Well, the idea is I know when I did my training, the idea is to keep him occupied with talking, and that's why they have negotiators, and they're very highly trained men. And those of us that have been through that, we've gone through other types of training as well, and they should be getting the hostages out. Now the thing is, if it gets to it, there's a line that's drawn. And if it gets to the line where the hostages aren't going to be released safely, then there's a green light given. If the sniper's got a clear shot, and a sniper team is 2 men. It's not a sniper; it's a sniper observer.
Okay.
So the observer pats him when he gets the green light, and then it's up to the sniper to take the shot. Okay. And from what I've seen on the film of the news films, there was quite a long time they could have taken the shot. So that surprised me.
And out of that, because they didn't, then we've lost.
Well, we've lost 2 people.
Lost 2 people out of there.
And one of them by the team.
Yeah.
Which is even worse. So, and I would hate to. I got to be honest with you. I would hate to be the team member that killed her, because that would play on me a bit.
I'm sure.
I mean, I have fired and I've been in that situation, but I never care about it. I walk away from it, and but to take down an innocent would be pretty heavy.
It certainly would. So, in other words, do you think that they were trying to get this guy alive?
It looked to me as if they really wanted him alive, and I think it was. And I got to be honest with you, and I don't want to sound too cynical, but it appeared to me that whole scenario is being played for the media to show you how good we are.
Yep.
And I'm sorry.
No, look, I that was going to be my next question about that, because that is what it appeared to me.
So I stopped looking at it because I just walk away. I couldn't.
But then there is this other thing that's going off in the back of my head about political correctness again, because this guy was clearly, obviously, a Muslim sympathiser or a ISIL or ISIS-Daesh sympathiser.
Well, think of all the things he's done over the years and the interviews he's actually given to media, and any one of them would be, in other countries, a hate crime. And
he'd be gone, wouldn't he?
Oh, he'd be gone. He would have been, and he certainly, with his background and his antecedents, he certainly would not have got bail on rape and murder.
Hell no.
That doesn't gel.
No,
Sorry.
No.
So I'm wondering if the instructions were, let's make this look good for the media because we don't want the judge to look bad. Now I'm being really cynical.
Yeah.
That's sarcasm, actually.
Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but there would have been an element of that in there, I'm absolutely certain, you know.
I don't get it. I remember the Big Boys incident in America where the Thais actually took a whole store hostage, and the SWAT team, would you believe it, all of them except 2 members were on leave or away training. And they actually had live television coverage. And I know that very intimately because I actually attended part of my hostage barricade training. I was debriefed by the sniper and the team leader. I was one of the students for them. And so that was pretty harrowing, and I'll tell you, brought a tear to the eye. He actually had the green light, actually pulled the trigger because they were timing the door being opened as they gave him food, and they timed the door closing. So he had a great window. He had a clear shot of the main hostage taker, took the shot, but for the first time in 3 incidents, the hostage taker pulled the door. So the bullet actually hit the edge of the door and didn't kill him. He then, on live television, him and his 2 cohorts walked down the line shooting hostages in the back. So, you know what I mean? To have that, to sit in a class and listen to the sniper and the team leader talk about that was absolutely... And there were 2 guys got in and they got the hostage takers, but they lost 4 or 5 innocent people. And that's the difference between military snipers who are out in Iraq and all those places. And one of my instructors on the FBI course was actually a sniper in Beirut with the Marines. The difference between us civilly, we train within 100 metres. 100 metres is our maximum, and we aim to stop. And so we have a window, which is the eyes and the bridge. That's it. That's all we shoot at. And that's why we've got to be totally accurate. With lights going, nighttime, daytime, we trained in everything. And I trained at Camp Perry, where they train the military snipers. We actually stayed there for the few days while we trained. But the Americans, Canadians, and the military snipers, I mean, they're amazing. 1 kilometre, and they shoot anywhere. They just got to stop you. So.
Is that right? That their mission there is to...
Their mission is to hit the body, and some of the BAR 50s and everything they use sort of seem to explode on contact. Some areas. Sorry, I'm not military, and I only know about it.
Yeah, not what
I did train a military team in Colombia, but only on what I know.
So basically, from what you've said, you think that and I agree with you, that they avoided taking this guy out of the Lint Cafe.
It appeared to me that, number one, the entry was done incorrectly, but prior to that, an opportunity was missed.
Or not taken.
Actually not taken, because it wasn't missed. It's just too obvious as a professional. And the third thing was that, which is the worst part of all, he never should have been able to be there.
No, that's really the bottom line, isn't it? And
the bottom note to this, Mr. Howard, is firearms laws had no bearing on him being able to obtain a shotgun, buddy.
No, absolutely not.
He didn't run in and hand it in.
No,
you know what I mean?
No, he didn't.
And firearms laws had nothing to do with a 15-year-old kid taking down a police accountant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is why we talk stupid.
Yeah.
I believe in our firearm regulations. I mean, I carry a firearm when I'm working for certain tasks, and it's needed. It's a tool of the trade. But, So, and the worst part about all of this is that Norway and Sweden still have on record, as of 4 hours ago, I got contacted, actually 3 hours ago, to let me know that they are still having trouble stopping Swedes from joining ISIL, because they have such free travel in those areas, and they're getting down to Turkey, to Syria, and joining ISIL.
Look, I cannot believe...
And a lot of the military trained.
I can't believe the tentacles that this Daesh group have got. If they seem to be everywhere, don't they?
Because we allowed it. And the whole thing is, okay, let's take, for instance, we have our own ingrown people, groups, and especially certain Lebanese Arabs and motorcycle gangs operating out of Sydney. We have certain little group in Melbourne, and there is a certain little Sudanese group here, and their conflict with our beliefs, and that's the way they are. And the mosque agrees. The mosque teaches certain things, and we already had an Islamic school here was just ripping the government off. But that's the way it goes. But the whole thing is, while we have our groups, Indonesia has theirs, Jalaz Malia. Pakistan did have 15. They now have, 12. They now have 25 different training camps for different groups.
Goodness me.
Mindanao have their own kidnap group who just executed a Canadian hostage because they didn't get the money from the Canadian government, and I believe they should not pay. We have a deal. When I was field operating, which I've stopped for 2 years, I just teach now. Yeah. And because I promised my family, and we had a deal of my wife was not going to sell the house, and was definitely not going to be paying any ransom under any circumstances, because as far as I'm concerned, if I was taken, I'm gone anyway, so it didn't make any difference. So the thing is, though, that what they've done now, because of the horrible and disgusting ways they're operating, which is 100-year-old types of killing people publicly and demonstrating it, that they're attracting these sickos and these people who are deprived in our societies. And now those groups that were just concentrating, even in southern Thailand, and where they do their own thing about their own government, they're objecting to, have now all pled allegiance to ISIL. To Daesh, and so have the 13 or 15 camps in America. They have now pled allegiance to them, or vowed allegiance to them, I should say. So the reality is the tentacles have joined up. Okay, the scattered groups have now joined up and are now taking leads through social media instruction too, which just blows me away.
It certainly does.
It's just fascinating.
Yeah. But it's I just still think that this political correctness thing it prevents a lot of publicity, not publicity, but reporting.
It sanitizes
That's
so
the
much.
word I was searching for. Thanks.
It sanitizes so much. And the reality is, in 2014, when I was setting up the counter-terrorist unit in Dubai, we actually had knowledge, and we actually had some Australian troops moved into Dubai, based in Dubai. Okay, that was kept pretty hush-hush, of course. But then Mr. Abbott announced that some special forces guys were coming, so a few weeks later it became public, and the next lot
Good
came
on you,
over.
Tony. Yeah.
But no, that's fine. But the whole thing is, it looks good because the Prime Minister can go down and pat all the special forces guys on the shoulder and shake their hands, and they can fly into different camps and look around. I'm thinking, but what are they doing? They're restricted. They've been instructed not to mention. I can tell you what what the troops were told not to mention. They're not to mention sex with animals. They're not to mention paedophilia, and they're to be careful what they say about, even if they see a drug field, not to interfere without instructions. And we have what they call in our society and all the normal societies amongst all these groups, chi boys, and they're part of the organisation that cause all the public things, like they did in Mumbai, like they did in Cologne, and they commit the taharush, which is mob violence. And all these guys, one of the field guys always carry these charis, and that's their little bum bag, I guess you'd call it, and in it is always a hit of some sort of drug.
Some Peruvian army marching powder.
Yes, that is so true, and a lot of it is now coming out of our Asian neighbours, not just Thailand, not just the Golden Triangle. It's coming from other places.
It's quite depressing in lots of ways that so much could be done, but so much is not being done in the name of political correctness and in the name of multiculturalism and so on. I mean,
it's not multiculturalism to just now. We've got 850 people on Manus Island.
Yes.
Only 350 are genuine, so that means 70% of them or 60% of them aren't refugees.
No.
But then we have members of different organisations in politics holding up signs, let them in.
Yeah, that's right.
Sarah
Sarah Hanson-Young, we're looking at you.
Has anybody looked at UK? Has anybody looked at Germany? Are we taking any notice? You can't. We're not the 1920s and 30s here anymore. Australia, we don't see anything, and no one can touch us because we're the middle of nowhere. That's not true.
That's not true now.
Jet planes have been going quite a while.
Yeah, they have been around a while.
And fishing boats from Indonesia and everything, they're here in hours.
Yeah.
Doesn't take long.
Doesn't take long.
I'm just trying to imagine if some Indonesian smugglers got a hold of the V8 motors out of the Thai dragon boats. They'd be here in 40 minutes.
On a good day, they'd even less.
Yeah, they'd be berthing in Perth. Elizabeth Key.
Oh, goodness. Betty's
Don't go there. That's political
let's
correctness.
not do that.
God damn. I'm waiting for a Prince Harry viaduct or something.
Well, stand by. It'll happen. Don't you worry about that.
Joke.
John, thank you so much for today. It's always a fascinating time talking to you, and thank you very much for your time today and joining us on the Sattler Files.
I'll see you soon.
Catch up again soon. More on the Sattler Files very shortly.
This is the Sattler Files.
Boy, am I going to
Never at home when you're looking for attention to detail and uniquely designed home